Hi, this is needlepointers.com. Today I'd like to show you how to make this fun loopy bath rug using the new loop yarn. To make the bath rug, you will need skeins of the loop yarn. Many different manufacturers make this loop yarn. It's all a little different. They have different colors. So pick the brand and colors that you like to make your rug. You'll want one color for your base color, and this is going to be on the bottom of the rug, and you mostly won't see it. Then the other color is your loops color. I chose to use this aqua color for my base and this very variegated looped yarn with white, aqua, and also gray in it for the loops part. The rug I am showing you how to make will be 18 inches by 26 inches. So it's a smaller size bath rug. If you would like to make one bigger, you just add more loops across for the first foundation row. You add more loops, and then you also can add more length by just making more rows. I have 4 skeins of yarn for my rug, so I will use these until I get to the 18 by 26 inch size. For this rug, count out 25 loops in your foundation color. Next, take the color that's going to be your loops. Insert 2 loops into each loop in your foundation chain of your base color. So I put 2 loops through the first one. Be sure you don't skip any loops along the way. Take 2 more loops, stick it through. Stick it through. And we're going to do this all the way across through in each of the 25 foundation loops. Okay, so now I've put 2 loops through each one of the foundation loops. The next step is take your base color again, and in the first loop, you see how I have a loop of the base color here, and then I have the 2 loops through it. Take your base color loop, the next one in the chain, stick it through the previous base color loop in front of the 2 loops you inserted into it. Then take that loop and put it through the 2 loops and pull it. Now see, I have this color here is there, so I have to make sure I'm working around the loop color yarn when I'm starting this next row. So I have, there's my first loop, and it's through the 2 loops. So I've brought the working base color around so that I can work across this row. Take the next loop in that working yarn, base color, stick it through in front of the 2 loops in the next that were in the next chain, base color, and then stick it through the 2. I try to push those loops back and have the base color loop sticking out, because we will work the next row into those loops. So we want them obvious. And this is also why I suggest to have 2 different colors, because it gets pretty confusing if you have the same color for both sets, that it would be hard to determine which ones were your actual base loops. Also, if I'm not being completely clear with how to do this stitch in this tutorial, please click the iCard or the link in the description of the video, and it will take you to our page on how to do this project, and which also will include some supplies that you need for doing this project, and it will have other photos and a full photo tutorial also. But in addition to that, it will also have a link to our tutorial on how to do this loop stitch. So if I'm not completely clear here, then please go watch our previous video on how to do the loop stitch, and hopefully that will clear up any confusion you have. If you still can't figure it out, please put a comment below and let me know what you're having trouble with. We always love to hear from our subscribers and people who watch our videos. And we just have to keep working across this whole row. And that basically completes the first row and starts the second row. And every time, since you're sticking this through the loop, the base loop, and then through these two loops that you put through there, that secures these loops in place so they can't get pulled out. Okay, so I worked across and I got my loops all through, and I've pulled them out, and I've pushed my actual sticking up loops back out of the way. So this makes it so you can see your next row that you're going to work on. And from now on, you're just going to keep working back and forth across. The next step is to take two loops from the Loopy yarn and stick them through the base yarn row again. So this is the next set of loops. We just go across by sticking two loops in to each loop. Alright, so I finished putting the loops through the base yarn again, and I have my base yarn loops, the continued loops from the previous row. And as we did in the previous row, we just continue by sticking the loop through the main loop, the base loop, and then through the two loops. And work your way back across. So here's my next base yarn loop. Here's my next loop with the two loops in it, and I put that through. And then through the two loops. So I continue to work all the way across like this, same as I did in the first row, and pulling the loops out. After I'm done going all the way across, I will again count these loops to make sure I still have the same number. You can also look on the back to see if you've missed any loops. If you've just missed a working loop, or if there's just a loop sticking out here and maybe you missed one of the base yarn loops and it's sticking out, you can always stick it through and make it part of the loops in the front. So I'm going to continue working rows of this rug, and I'll be back after I have a bunch of rows done so you can see my progress. Here is the back of my Loopy rug in progress. You want to see the front, don't you? Well, here it is. I really love how loopy it is, and fluffy, so fluffy. This new stitch, such a fluffy stitch. And everything is secure, so your little loops will not come out later while you're using this fluffy rug to stand on. I almost can't wait to finish this. So you do go through more of the loops yarn than you do of the base yarn. With my first two skeins, I made it through the first 7 inches of my rug, and so I had about this much done, and then I started with the second, and these are the skeins left. This might even be the third of this one. I'll let you know how many skeins I use when I get the whole 26 inches done. But I'm excited so far how this is working out. And I think once you start getting more rows of this done, it's a little easier to work because you can tell, you can see your loops. The loops stay up this way and you can see your working loops here. So it makes it easier to figure out, to know where you are in and where you're looping and what's your base yarn. Once you start having a few rows, you get a base down and it just stays in place better. So as you can see, I have all my loops out here and I still count them each time to make sure I didn't lose a row or not. If I find loops on the back afterwards, I can just stick them through to the front. They'll probably stay that way. They might work their way to the back once in a while you're using the rug. So I'll be back later once I finish this whole rug. Hi, I'm back and I finished all the loops for the bath rug. This is the back and it has the aqua colored yarn that you can only pretty much see from the back because that's the base yarn. I ended up using 2 skeins of the base yarn for this rug. I ended up using 4 skeins of the variegated color loop yarn that I was using for the loops on the top. And that's because we were putting 2 loops for every 1 loop in the base chains, so that made it use twice as much of the loops yarn that's showing up. And this made a very fluffy bath rug so far. What I ended up doing was going with finishing out one of the skeins of yarn and until it was all finished. I ended up with a bath rug that is 18 inches wide by 28 inches long with that 4 skeins of the top yarn and 2 of the base yarn. So the last step actually to finish this rug is that now on the end, this is where I finished up. This is how much I had left of my loops. And at this point I have hanging out along my last row of the base yarn. And what we need to do is do a bind off, similar to what we do in knitting. But for loop yarn, you take, to do the bind off, you take 2 loops and you simply pass the 1 loop through the loop before it. And then pass and keep going all the way across. So there's the last loop and I pass it through the loop before it. This is my ending of my working yarn. And so for this last loop, we just need to pass. I can cut this loop open and tie off. And then just tie this off. On this end I have this the end of my working loops yarn, and I can just cut that off there and that will hold. And the loop yarn rug is complete. If you'd like to see a written photo tutorial of this entire project, please click the iCard or the link in the description of this video to visit our website, needlepointers.com. On our website you will find the full tutorial with pictures, and also we will have links on the website where you can buy the supplies you need for this project. If you purchase supplies through our links, we receive a small commission for your purchases, and that helps us to keep making more videos. We thank you in advance for any purchases you make through our links. We hope you enjoyed this tutorial and make a loop yarn bath rug for yourself. Please click the like button and share our projects on Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest. You can also follow us on social media by clicking the iCard and finding the links to follow us. We also have many other loop yarn tutorials and projects ideas, so visit our website to find those projects.